hang my hat on the fact that turning into 2021 would make my life easier and better. Because I don't know about you guys, but my first 4 days have been harder in some ways than the last 4 months.
Oh,
I have come up with so many people that I know and care about that have COVID-19 test results, about 11 of them. Some, hospitalized and some asymptomatic. It's just a gambit of range. We're going to talk about some new things about COVID-19 that you need to know. Things that are treatments that are out there that not everybody knows about, but you need to ask your doctor for. We're also going to talk about some warnings with the immunization. Make sure you get the right immunization and the patterns that comes with that. So don't stay tuned to the end because you got vital information coming your way about the COVID-19. But before we get any further, let's welcome Bill and Brandy, our co-hosts for the day. Hello, Brandy, women's first. So I'm going to choose Brandy today. How are you, Brandy?
Good. Thank you for allowing me to be here once again, and Happy New Year to you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I hope it gets better.
Yeah.
And Bill, don't forget you can find them on their links that I'm putting below. Bill, how are you? How was your New Year?
well, actually, my New Year's going pretty good. I'm closer to Brandy than I've been since I've met her. We're in Tennessee right now. So,
Oh, you traveled to Tennessee. I'm envious. I love Tennessee.
yeah, I've never really been here too much. And in fact, not too much. I've never been to Tennessee. And it's gorgeous. And this is the dead of winter. I'm like, wow, this is an awfully green place. So it's really nice. We're at a friend's house and we're heading off to North Carolina where my daughter lives. So we went to a wedding and then my friend's house, and then we'll be going to North Carolina, then flying home to sunny California because it is cold here.
Welcome.
Cold. Yeah, it was
You are on the East Coast now.
Snowing, and my kids got off, and of course, I don't know, kids are much better at liking extreme temperatures, I think, than me, than anybody as old as me. But they're getting off, and they're like, yeah, and they're playing in the snow, and I'm like, this is really cold. But it's great. We got some great pictures in the snow, and it was wonderful.
Oh, that is good. It sounds like your entrance to 2021 is really good. It's a really good experience.
Yeah.
What about you, Brandy? How was your entrance to 2021?
Can you still hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. It was not bad. It's really been good, quiet, not adventurous as my life likes to take sudden turns. So just been, running business and, trying to stay safe. So everything's good over here. And welcome to the cold, Bill. It was like 60 degrees today. So that was good.
That was good. It's not 60 degrees in Tennessee, but it was even colder in Missouri. And in Missouri, it was snowing on us. It was a wedding. And the wedding party went outside to take pictures, and they just got completely, snowed on. But it was beautiful for the pictures, no doubt.
I can imagine.
That it doesn't get much prettier than that. And all the trees were glistening, like in the song, the trees are glistening. And I'm like, this is a beautiful place, but man, I don't like getting out of this car.
Oh, wow. Well, what about you? All you who are listening, how was your entrance into 2021? Let us know. Remember, you can comment, chat, message us, however you want to do it from the social media outlet that you're watching on. And we can get your comments right here on screen with us. If you stay with us throughout the whole show, as we did last week, then you get a chance to have one of the Truth to Hear merchandise, which is a t-shirt, a cup, a tote bag, or a hat. One of those choice, and we will send it to you. But make sure you tell us, where to send it. And that brings us to today's show. Last week, we lost Brandy. Maybe she'll be able to come in. She is having problems today, technically. But last week, Bill, we had a gentleman, Mr. Dickinson,
Right,
who came in and wanted to talk about Elon Musk. And he stayed the course, talking about the relief bill and help here in America compared to Finland. Shed a lot of light on that. I love Mr. Dickinson. If you're listening, join us again today, because Bill, what are we doing today? What's our main focus?
Well, I was working on going to Mars. So, because I'm too old to do it, but doggone it. When I was a kid, I used to tell my grandmother I was going to be the first astronaut on Mars. That's what I was going to do, because we used to.
This show is right up your alley then.
Oh my gosh. Lost in Space. You have to be old like me to get it. But I used to watch reruns of Lost in Space in the 70s when I was a kid, because it's a 60s show, but I wasn't old enough for it in the 60s. But in the 70s, when I was a little boy, man, I would watch Lost in Space, and I even knew what year they were leaving Earth, which was 1996. And I was going to be on the Jupiter too. Let me tell you, when you're in 4th grade, you can really have a good imagination. And I was going to do that. In fact, I'll tell you the truth right now. I have a very good military career. Love my military career. Wouldn't change it for too many things. But man, if I was young right now, I'd try and join that Space Force, man. I'd get out there into space. I don't know what they're going to do, but I think it's great. And I think it's really super fun. When Star Trek had their saying, the frontiers. I mean, talk about frontiers. That never ends out there, dang. Yeah. So, but anyway, I did do a lot of reading on Elon Musk and some of the plans and some of the crazy plans that probably won't come to fruition, but some of the things that have.
Yeah. Well, we're going to start from a little background. So who we're talking about in the front part of the show is Elon Musk, thanks to Mr. Dickinson. He encouraged us to talk about him and research him, so we did just that. Elon Musk, some of you may know his face. Some of you know he is an engineer, inventor, investor, visionary leader, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. What most people don't know, though, Bill, is that he is originally from South Africa. And then around 17.
I didn't know
I didn't either. I had no idea that he made such headways in our culture, but he's from South Africa. And then at 17-ish, he went to Canada, and then he came to the United States. So he actually holds a triple citizenship between South Africa, Canada, and United States. He's known as the greatest visionary of our modern time. I think you could agree that he really is one of the greatest visionaries of all time.
He's definitely, his ideas that were crazy and nobody thought would ever be able to happen have all happened. And see, that's the thing. When you have people like him, an Edison, a Tesla in the past, different people that, I mean, it's not like Musk comes up with how to do these ideas he has. But he's got enough wherewithal to have people working for him that can. And
Yes.
And he's been able to succeed. A lot of people got big ideas, but nothing ever comes of them. He's been able to do it. And I was watching recently, I physically watched a rocket coming back down toward Earth. And I just thought that was really amazing, because when I was a kid, once again, I saw the Mars moon shots, the Apollos, and then they would come back and they would land in the ocean, they have the parachute, and then they'd go out there and get the astronauts. But his now land, his rockets come down and land just like they do in the futuristic movies where they had retro rockets and stuff, and they land on the ground, and then they can reuse them. And that's what's saving him so much money. They're not much faster or anything like that, but what they're able to do is they're so much more efficient now. And he has a lot to do with that and what he comes up with. And he thinks, well, at least the last he said was he can have men and women on Mars within 5-6 years from now.
Yeah, we're going to welcome Brandy. She's able to come back. Hello, Brandy. Welcome back.
Ask me how 2021 is going one more time.
No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. Well, we're talking about Elon Musk. And, one thing that Bill was just saying is how he has a vision, but he's able to make them come to pass. Like he's able to get with the right people and do the right things to make his visions actually into reality. But I want to talk about this because
Thomas Edison, Thomas Edison was able to do that. He didn't invent everything that he's got a patent for, but he was able to get the people together to make it actually happen. There's other brilliant people in the past who didn't get their ideas all the way to market, so to speak. Edison was good at getting every idea to market. Tesla is good at getting everything to market. It's getting it done so the average person can actually have something to do with what his ideas are.
And that's what I kind of want to do is bring him, Elon Musk, and all the greatness he is to an average person. There's points that we can learn from him. At least we can discuss. So the first point is that even our first job, our first thing can be set up to fulfill what's inside of us. Because what Elon Musk did, I don't know if many of the viewers know, he co-founded PayPal. So he was a founder of PayPal. I didn't know that. I did not associate him with that. But what happened is at 32 years old, he sold PayPal for $180 million and said, now I can retire and do what I want, do what's inside of me, get the visions that I have inside of me. And that's when he began the boring companies, SpaceX, Tesla, OpenAI, Solar City, and many others. So the first point I want us to talk about is this. Can, for the average person, a job, just what we do to earn a living, provide for what is inside of us? Because I think that's what we learned from Elon Musk at the top of the hour is he worked a job, he created something, sold it, and then funded everything that was inside of him. Mm-hmm. And I think in our society, we work and we spend it. We don't, like Bill, you said, most people don't accomplish what they have inside, what they want to do, because we don't save. We just, we don't put it towards that. We just keep spending what we earn and hoping one day we'll win the lottery. Yeah,
pretty likely going to happen for sure. Not anybody's true retirement plan, I'm sure. But Elon Musk and other people too, but he did his in science. Like that was what enthralled him. Things like SpaceX and Tesla and all these futuristic ideas when he was doing them. Other people had the ideas too. It's just that his is actually, he's able to make it come to pass. And that's what impresses me the most about him. Isn't that because it's not like he's the smartest guy in the world. He hasn't invented all this stuff or anything like that. That's not what he's good at. But he is so good at getting it done is about it. And nobody, we are so much further in the space program, not because of a government, but because of SpaceX, who's actually leapfrogged any governmental program for space. And that's pretty impressive to me. Now he gets, the other thing he's good at is he gets government money. The man gets. I was
going to say, SpaceX is funded with NASA.
Money like crazy from the government. And, but he produces. So, Tesla's produced, and now they've got all these with Solar City, he's got all these solar stuff going on that, you can do for your home, and they're selling these batteries that are getting a lot more efficient all the time. He doesn't rest on his laurels is an old saying. The laurels was what you won in the Olympics back in the Greek days. You won laurels. That was what you won. And I never knew what that term meant until years later, because you always hear, don't rest on your laurels. But what that means is don't rest on your gold medal. Okay, you won the gold medal in the Olympics. Great. That's terrific. Right. Now go win another one or go do something else. Accomplish something else too. And that's what don't rest on your laurels means. And he never has. And he's not doing it now. So I'm more impressed with him after studying about him this week than I've ever been. I didn't know half the things. Well, probably didn't know hardly anything about him compared to what I've read about him this week, because Mr. Dickinson said, hey, let's talk about Elon Musk.
Yeah, I tell you what, Mr. Dickinson really got all of us thinking. And, talking about not resting on your laurels. Brandy, what do you think? why are so many people just not doing like for me, I think, Brandy, you're one of the people that has taken advantage of what you had saved for a rainy day and became what was inside of you as a publisher and an author. I mean, here you are, you're fairly young to me, a fairly young lady, who had all the odds against you, but yet you didn't give up on what you wanted to be, what was given to you by God to become, which is a publisher, author, teacher, speaker. And so, Elon Musk has this quote. I'll put it up on the screen. It says, "It is possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary." And it is a choice. It's a choice to put aside money towards what's inside. It's a choice to say, you know what, I'm better than my circumstances, which is something Brandy has always said, Bill. I'm bigger than my circumstances. I'm better than what I'm living like right now. And we have to make that choice, because I don't think Elon Musk, most of us, 99.9, don't want to build a spaceship other than Bill. Okay, you're 1 to 1%.
I want to build a spaceship.
Yes.
Well, at least I want to fly in a spaceship.
But at the same time, 99% of us want to do something bigger than what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
There's a great couple I know, Sharon and her husband. Oh my goodness, I can't remember his name. I'm so sorry. Bobby Drake in it, Ice Cream and Cake in it. He's a producer. His a producer. His company is Another Planet, or off the planet, but it's Bobby Drake in it, Ice Cream and Cake in it, and his wife Sharon. Well, COVID hit, and they don't have people coming to the studio anymore because of all the restrictions. But I saw something on they messaged me, and there they were. They have a food truck kind of thing, a food truck. I'm like, when did this come about? She said, you know what? It's always been my dream. And we've been buying one piece of equipment at a time for years. And so when COVID hit the production company, they were able to do the food truck company. And that was, now both of them have their goals. And I thought, wow, that's inspirational. That's what we need to be doing. That's what Elon Musk did. If he didn't have that 180 million from PayPal, do you think we'd be talking about him today?
Probably not. But this is the thing. There's been other people who have had windfalls like that, and we're not talking about them because a lot of times they even squander it. They always talk about, oh, you just inherited it or something. You know what? If you make anything of what you inherited, then you've done good, because most people that inherit, before they're dead, it's all gone. Most people that win the lottery, before a few years, it's all gone. The few that took a windfall, it's not a windfall, he earned it through PayPal, it's an earning, but a huge amount of money, and do something more with it, that's impressive, because most people don't. Most people do not do that.
Brandy, go ahead. You got the floor for a while, because you've been quiet all morning.
So, from an entrepreneur standpoint, I think if I had 180, you said million?
Yes.
I'd take 180,000 and turn it into something. But that has to come from, for one, knowing the value of money. I can just tell you, I wasn't taught the value of money. I didn't learn it until I got older. And so I wish at 15 I would have been saving, and they should have told me how expensive children were. I might not have. But you don't know the value of money. And if you don't know the value of money, when you get that $180, $180,000, $180 million, you squander it because you don't know the value of what you possess. So what I believe is that he at least knew, if I get this, and this could have been a dream of his, he may have known, okay, when I get to this dollar amount, I'll be able to fund all the other things. That's why he was able to sell it. Maybe he didn't know he was going to sell it to who he sold it to, but he knew, once I get to a certain place, this thing will take care of all the other things. So I do believe that I think the word tells us that we're all here for a certain purpose. I couldn't have created the light bulb. Somebody else couldn't have started on the right track. I couldn't have been I could have been a police officer, but I wouldn't have been Bill Kaufman, the police officer. When you picked up your family, you don't talk about yourself a lot, so I'll toot your horn. When you said, I'm moving to California, my children are going to be in entertainment, we was all like, what? What do you... People don't make it over there. Sit back. I didn't say this. I'm just paraphrasing what the other people said. You can't go way across the country. What is that? That's a dream. You knew deep down on the inside of you, not only were your children made for more, you were made to be their mother, and you were made to be, and Mr. Mark, their father, to take them on this excursion to allow them to become. So I think it goes deeper than I want to do something. I think it also says that the Bible, the God gives us the desires of our heart. I think that we've been preaching it backwards. It's like, I'm giving you this because I'm giving it to you as a gift, but God already gave it to us on the inside. So I'm giving you what you're supposed to dream before you even dream it. I couldn't, as much as I wish I would have created Tesla, boy, God, if you just want to, I hear that God, I've heard somebody say that God gives ideas and it's just whoever catches it. I'm like, I just declare I don't remember you sweeping that by me. I just don't remember that. And so I just wholeheartedly believe that we're all here for an intended purpose, and it takes a whole lot of faith, a whole lot of disappointment. We don't, I haven't read the whole book, but I haven't gotten to the part where he talks about the things that didn't work, because that's just part of being a living, period. But entrepreneurship is a whole lot of stuff that didn't work. People don't know how much I was in the acting industry. I put that to the side and went on and did something else, because that wasn't the ultimate thing that God had for, not that he couldn't put me back out there, but that just wasn't the thing that I was going to leave for my inheritance. Now, if he still want me to be in a movie with Morris Chestnut, I will still take it.
Just like that.
Right. Just like that. But when my legacy, when I leave the earth, that's what will be left for people to know that I was here. And so when it comes to Elon Musk, and I think it also takes a circle of people. Like, I had you and maybe two other people telling me this isn't the end. Like, it feels like the end. And I know failure seems final, but I promise, if you keep living, somebody just asked me this earlier. They said, how did you continue to play to win when all the cards you were dealt were losing cards? Every last one of them. My daddy passing away, molestation, rape, domestic violence, gang by 10 men. I was supposed to die. I was supposed to be either dead, depressed, crazy, all of those things. I said, I just believe that God didn't put me here to be damaged. I was damaged along the way, but I just didn't feel like that was going to be the end. Like, this is going to be the end of my story. Not if I had something to do with it. Now, if it came to an end and that's how it ended, I had to get to heaven and say, okay, God, that was my ending. But if I had something to do with it, I was going to crawl. I was going to backstroke. I was going to ride a bike. I was whatever I had to do to see the abundant that is also in the Bible with the trauma. There's trauma in the Bible, but there's also all of this abundant life. Well, can I just get over there and see it? Like, can I just taste it? Can I just touch it? Because if I can at least get over there and see what it takes to live in abundance, maybe I can keep reciprocating it and keep reproducing it. Y'all want me to preach today? I ain't gonna preach.
No, but listen, I want to bring it back to you.
I'm telling you. There's nothing I agree with more than what you just said. And the last few weeks, I kept talking about liberty versus safety and security. And, there's nothing wrong with being safe and secure. You should make wise decisions. You shouldn't put yourself in jeopardy. All these things, that's just stupid to do. But liberty is more important to me than security and safety, because you can be secure and safe and do nothing. Nothing. You can have somebody pay your way just enough to get by and all that stuff, and you'll never accomplish that dang thing. You got to step out. You got to do what Brandy's doing. You got to do what Elon's done. You got to do other people too. And you got to step out and give it a go. Now, that entails maybe failure. It does. I'm not a pie in the sky Pollyanna guy. I tell people, hey, go for your goals, whatever they are. I want to play in the NFL. All right, then go for it. That's going to take training. That's going to take this. You got to get to a college. You got to do this, got to do that. You still may not make it. They drafted 16 quarterbacks, you know, out of all the colleges in the freaking place. I'm going to be a professional quarterback. Well, I'm never going to be because I can't throw. I was a running back, but I'm going to do that. Well, they drafted 16 last time. The likelihood of you being that guy is real rare. But I can tell you what's rare: you not trying and still making it. You will not make it if you don't try. Will not. Right. Nobody's coming to your door, knocking on your door, saying, "Hey, I got a contract for you to come play with the NFL." Not going to happen. So you have to try, even though you might fail. But I'll tell you what, man, that trying is. I honestly believe that makes God's heart happy when His children are giving a lot of effort, because it gives my heart a lot of joy when my children give effort. And I pretty much do the same thing.
You know, the thing about trying, we can think like Brandy said, she did entertainment and she did it well when she did it. It wasn't her anointing or by any means, but it was God's way to prepare her for what she's doing now, guest speaking, teaching. It got her the training. So we can try at something because we believe we're supposed to do it. But like Brandy said, it's not God's end. We think if we don't succeed at it, we failed. But maybe it was just what we were supposed to do. And that limited time, that limited success is all that we were intended to achieve so that God could use it for something else. Here's a quote from Elon Musk. Failure is an option here, is an option. If things are not failing, you are not inventing enough, innovating enough. So failure, the other point we want to say to everyone here is that failure is part of success. If you are not failing, then you're not doing enough. You're not having enough faith to step out. You're not trying enough, because I'm going to tell you what, this company, Truth to Hear, I've tried 4 times before it became a real company and became successful. I've tried 4 times. And so you have to fail, because then you learn, and then you learn how to do it better, or you learn how to do it right, or you connect with certain people in one part of it and then you fail, you get another group of people. Failure is important. So, the world tries to tell us if you fail, you're a loser. Right. No, it just means you're one step closer to your success. Oh, I like that. Failure is one step closer to your success unless you stop. Right. I used to tell my kids, the only way you fail is if you stop. If you give up, you fail. But because God created us to succeed. So as long as we're seeking God and He's ordering our steps, as long as we stay to it, we have to succeed, because God didn't create us to fail. Right.
I don't know the amount of times of failure for for Edison when he was trying to invent the light bulb, and him and his crew, he gets all the credit, but there was a crew of people doing it, but they failed and they failed and they failed and they failed until they found the carbon element that actually they could make a light bulb out of. And at some point, it's a famous story, but I don't remember the exact number of times, but we're going to just go 1,000 because it's around there, I'm sure. And so they failed again. And he's like, somebody got discouraged. We have failed 1,000 times. And he goes, no, we haven't. We succeeded 1,000 times in finding what didn't work.
There you go.
Totally different mindset. I succeeded 1,000 times to know what doesn't work.
Right.
And that wasn't going to slow him down at all. But he had a different mindset. Another famous story was when his building burned down at Menlo Park. He told his son, go get your mom. She's never going to see a fire like this again. All his stuff is burning up, all his paperwork, all his inventions. And he's like, look at this giant fire. No one thinks like him. But that's why he was able to do what he did. And I wouldn't have been able to, because I wouldn't have thought like him. But I don't think like Elon either, but I can certainly read what he's doing and appreciate it. I don't think like Brandy, but I can certainly learn from Brandy. And I may not be able to be the entrepreneur Brandy is, but I can certainly learn from her and move closer to that. And that's what I think we do to each other when the Bible says one person sharpens another like iron sharpens iron. And we do that to each other. So let other people sharpen you is, I think, the point. Let
Amen.
Elon, let Edison, I don't care, Socrates, let Solomon, let Brandy sharpen you as a human being. You'll be better for it.
I agree.
Go ahead, Brandy.
I found the scripture, it's Philippians 3:8. It says, what is more, I consider everything a loss because of the surpassing worth of Jesus, my Lord, for whose sake I have lost all things. I consider them garbage that I may gain Christ. And so I feel like if you're chasing after something that you believe God gave you, when authors come to me and they say, one, God told me to use your service, and two, God told me to write a book, that's it. The book is going to be written. I don't care how many years it takes, Melanie. I don't care, Bill. We don't care how many years it takes. We'll write one page a day. But I consider everything else garbage because God is on the end of this somewhere. So if you're still, toggling between should I do this or should I do that? Well, which one did God tell you to do first? Is what I always say. He might have said to do all three, but which one did you hear first? And which one? I believe that God gave us passion as a gift. So I'll be ready to throw these books in the garbage. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'll be like, this was some really good day, God, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna just go do something else. I can't. I've tried like several times to just pick up something else, and I'll be like, oh, this would make a good book. Or, it's the passion that drives you. It's Bill, I'm pretty sure there's been some hard days in the service. I cannot imagine. But your passion and your love for people and what you do, it just drives you. And you don't even really know where passion comes from. It's like, I don't want to think about this today. I want to go do something else. And so I think passion is a gift that fuels your purpose when you really just want to quit.
Yes. And no matter where you go,
made for stuff, though. I believe that wholeheartedly. You're made for something. And
yes.
By the way, different seasons too. Because like when I was young, I could be a soldier, and I was made to be a soldier. I was a good soldier, and I've got the right mindset that it doesn't destroy me, because the military can destroy.
Yeah.
Look, the reality is what military people do can actually destroy a human being emotionally. Well, it doesn't me, because I'm made for it. But that being said, physically, I'm not made for it today. I can't be a freaking ground pounding 11 Bravo humping what we did now. I physically can't do it. I don't care what my emotions can still do. Right. I'm going to slow everybody down, because I can't physically do what I did in my 20s, or even really close. So I have to be realistic that, yeah, okay, I can't go run a fire team right now across a whole desert. I can't do it. But that doesn't mean I didn't learn a lot through those experiences that I can take to me and do something with now, because I'm not dead yet. I got a lot of years left, I hope, and that I can still produce. I don't ever want to retire myself. I just want to maybe change what I'm doing now to something else.
Right.
But I never want to be the guy that's just retired and, okay, I'm finished. I'm no longer productive to the world. I don't want to be that guy.
No, and I think what we're talking about is, we say passion, but it really is what we were created to do. Bill going into the military and then coming out, and he's a police officer. Well, it's the same mindset. It's the same calling. It's law and order. It's people skills, but it's law and order. And so he stays in that because that's what he's created. That's what he can't get away from it. So it's whether you move from state to state, it follows you. You still do what's inside of you. When you hit hard times, you still long for doing what you used to do, and it comes back and back in cycles. And Bill, you said you weren't like Elon Musk, but I think you are, according to this quote. No, after I read the quote, you'll read the quote with me. He says this: the lessons of history would suggest that civilization moves in cycles. You can track that back quite far. The Babylonians, the Sumerians, followed by the Egyptians. Well, that's supposed to be Romans, China. We're obviously in a very upward cycle right now, and hopefully that remains the case, but it may not. Elon Musk. So, Bill, I say you're like him because you appreciate the history. Who knew that Elon Musk, who's creating forward-thinking things, right? Things we've never imagined, is gaining that from understanding history and other civilizations and cultures that were before us. Like, that's where he gains his understanding.
I think that's wise that he gains it from the human nature of the past. Because studying humans is interesting. Because, by the way, when you start studying humans, you're no longer black or white. You're no longer Asian or South American. You're a human. And if you watch the civilizations that rose and fell, it's the same thing that built them, and it's the same thing that destroyed them. I don't care what language you speak. I don't care if you're tall people or small people. It's the exact same thing. And everybody that studies history knows that. And so it's an old saying, but those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. That means we've made so many mistakes, you're just going to make them again. Well, guys like Musk said, well, what did they do wrong before? Okay. What did they do right before? Okay. I'm going to do it the right way, because it doesn't really matter what time you're living in. The technology is different, but human nature is not.
And I think a big part of his success is understanding how civilizations progressed and what hindered civilizations, how people thought, how people got other inventions ahead. And he put all of that knowledge of the past into his companies and his practices today. I think that's amazing. Who knew that he was like Bill? Bill, I
think he's a lot smarter than Bill. However, the ideas that he came up with, undoubtedly he used the past and the future. I mean, he's probably, like I said, you weren't here yet, Brandy, I don't think, but I grew up watching Lost in Space and Star Trek, and I loved them. I didn't just like them, man. I'm a little third, fourth grade student. I wrote stories in school, and whenever they had you write a story, mine was always about traveling to space and going to some planet. And I used to use words like retro rockets and stuff. Why? Because that's what they said on Lost in Space, man. And I loved it. Well, I wonder how much Elon Musk did that, only he was smart enough to take it further than just being a fan. He actually took it and said, you know what? I can build one of those. I can actually build that. And he did. And he actually did. And, he won't take me to Mars because I'm too old. Okay, get it. But they're talking about taking people to Mars in the 2020s. Now, I don't know if they'll get there. I don't know about that. But there's no doubt in my mind that Jesus doesn't come back in that time frame, that Elon Musk or somebody, maybe not him, maybe he'll fail. But somebody's taking a colony to Mars at some point. I want to say this, though, real quick, just because it's silly. My daughter, she's a teenager, and she buys into everything that any teacher tells her, of course. And that's totally normal. But she's come home and she said, Dad, we got to build colonies on Mars. I said, well, we probably will. And she goes, no, we got to do it now. I said, why? She goes, because we're completely destroying our planet and through the carbon and the this and that. And I said, well, honey, there's not an atmosphere in Mars. We'd have to actually invent it. And if we have enough scientific ability to invent an atmosphere on Mars, we can easily save the atmosphere here that's already here. And she's looking at me like that made sense, but that's not what my teacher said. In order to do what you're saying, we have to invent an entire atmosphere. We do not have that ability.
Well, I do want to mention, you mentioned him saying we're going to be in Mars in 2020. Elon Musk completely wants us to be multiplanetarists, which is living between different planets, being Earth and Mars. Like, he wants to set up residence and be able to go back and forth. And I have no doubt that if he continues, he has the capabilities of doing that. But did you know that he also has something called the Artemis Program? And he is saying between now and 2024, So only 3 years. He plans on putting another man on the moon and the first woman on the moon in just 3 years. So it's not just Mars. He wants to be among the planets, and he wants to bring, people along with him. He wants to make it where people can afford to do it and have the ability to do it. It's way beyond me. I don't understand it, but let me just share with you 2 books that he suggests in his reading. If you want to be like Elon and understand things, it's Einstein, His Life and Universe. If you're a book reader, I think this one's going to get you, by Walter Isaacson. And also another book by Walter Isaacson is Benjamin Franklin, An American Life. So those are 2 of the books that he recommends people read, just in case you're interested in learning just a tidbit of what Elon Musk knows. These are 2 of his books that he enjoyed. With that, is there anything else you guys want to talk about Elon Musk before we talk about some really interesting COVID facts?
Just one thing. He's a realist on top of being a visionary. Because when he first started talking about putting people on Mars, he actually taking applications. Now, you had to be younger than me or I would have applied. But it was not a round trip. We don't have the technology yet. We will, but we don't have it yet. So he was a realist. He said, look, I'm going to send people to Mars in a colony, but they're not coming back. They're going to die on Mars. So you want to come on, I want you to go. I'll send you. But this isn't a Star Trek movie. You're not coming and coming back. We don't have that technology yet. I can get you there, but we don't have the fuel there to get you back. So we can send stuff, but that's all we can do. Now, eventually that'll change. But I just thought that was really interesting. He's such a realist, it seems like fantasy, but he's doing it and succeeding because he doesn't do the movie version, he does the real version. That's all. That's it.
That's a good point. That is a very good point. So if you're trying to be bigger than you are right now, going after your dreams and your visions, stick to what's real when you present it to people. Because I think that's when you get a lot of people who won't back you and a lot of naysayers when you're like, oh, I'm going to do this big thing, and then it doesn't happen. And everyone's, oh, yeah, you're just a bunch of, pie in the sky kind of person. But if you give it to people as is, and you do it before you speak it, Elon Musk doesn't come out too much. And he first did things, and then he presented what he wanted to do next. So we gotta hold off on just telling people, oh, I'm going to be this, I'm going to do this with my life and grand schemes. Wait until you're producing something and then announce, and then stay in reality, because that's how you get people to fund you. That's how you get people to back you up. That's how you get people to encourage you to keep going forward. If Brandy came to me and said, oh, I'm going to just go to Atlanta, Georgia, from South Carolina, and I'm going to be a big publishing company, and I would have said, oh, wait, you what? But she didn't. She's like, I think I have what's in me to write a book. Yes, write the book. And then that led to the next, to her having her own publishing company and teaching and all that other stuff that she does, which is miraculous. So stick to the reality so people can go with you on it. Yeah, I like that. I'm very surprised how much we learned by studying the life of Elon Musk.
Yeah, me too. I didn't know a lot of that stuff. I read about him all week long, and I was like, I didn't know that. And that's a nice feeling, because when you're still learning, that's a good thing in life. You don't want to get to the point where you think you know everything, because you don't even know most things. Nobody does.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And if it wasn't for Mr. Dickinson, we wouldn't have even learned this. So thank you, Mr. Dickinson. Again, I'm sorry you're not being able to be on today, but anyone else listening, if you have a topic that you want to have discussed on Truth Talk, let us know, because we actually like doing the research. What were you going to say, Brandy?
So for anybody watching that, feels like you have a dream or something that you're dreaming and you're like, I can't just really get it out. I don't know what it is. Do what you can see, not what you can't see. So I never thought publishing, company, editing, none of that. I just knew what God told me to do, which at the time I'd say this big, but to me it was this big. It was write a book. God didn't reveal to me the next step until I completed the first step. A lot of times we want the big picture because that's what makes us comfortable. Oh, in 15 years, you'll be a millionaire. But right now, I need you to eat these beanie weenies and be okay with it. But he might not tell you all that. He might just say, eat the beanie weenies and be all right with it. And tomorrow, I'll show you something else. And we went through that last year, being okay with where I am today. So as an entrepreneur, it's hard to not see somebody doing what you do and making 100,000 or 200,000. And you're like, but I got this thing over here that's just as good, but you have to walk your walk. You have to build your network. There's people that will hear your voice. Do you have a puppy, right, Melanie?
Oh,
You have a
yeah.
puppy too?
Yes.
Your puppy don't answer to a lot of people. It answers to you because it knows your voice. So that's just like the world we live in. Everybody doesn't answer to your vision. As much as I would like a Tesla, it's not my target market right now. And so, he has a target market. We are his, as far as growth and education, and we're like, oh yes, this is awesome. There's some people that's like, what, Mars, whatever. And so,
And yet I would go right now if they'd let me.
right. So
I'll be there tomorrow. I'll be there.
Gets a hold of this, please reach out to Bill Kaufman. Just encourage him that maybe his picture can go to Mars.
I'd be on that next plane to Mars, baby. Let's go.
But dream your dream, because at the end of the day, I was so frustrated sitting at work. I used to cry, like real tears, because I knew that I was made for something else and I felt stuck. So when the door came open to go, it was no question about it. It was like, this is my door. This is the time that I've been waiting for. So build while you're working. I would never tell anybody just jump out there, and that's not my message. Right. Build the savings or whatever you have, but wait for your door, and you'll know it like your name. You'll know that it's your time to take that leap of faith, but write it down. Start talking to people. Dream your dream, and don't just let it sit by the wayside, because we're here today and we could very well be gone today. We're not here today, gone tomorrow. That's old. We're here today and we could just definitely be gone by today. So dream your dream today.
And you know what I want to say also is, don't let your limitations prevent you from going forward, because what you see as a limitation, God could see as an asset. And so don't look at yourself and say, but I'm this and I'm that. Don't do it. Your limitations might go away in a day. They might go away in a year. You don't know what's going to happen. So just go forward anyway. Don't be like Moses. Well, God, I can't speak because I have a stutter. God said, well, but didn't I create you? Don't I know that you have a stutter? I'm asking you to speak. And Moses said, no, yep. Use my brother Aaron. So don't pass it to someone else. Say, okay, I'm going to do it even with my stutter. I'm going to do it with my limitations. I do want to, we don't have a lot of time left, but there's some things about COVID updating that I really want to get to today, because I think it's pertinent to let the people know about these things. So we're going to switch over to COVID-19 information. All right, there's a little flag so we know what we're going to talk about. The first thing, there's a lot of people testing positive. And so there's a lot of people I know from around the country testing positive. And there's different things happening, depending on where you live. All right. So we all know that COVID is getting rampant. It is just getting crazy. But in Louisiana, what they're doing is if you test positive, now in LA, you just forget it. When I'm going to talk about LA, because people with cardiac issues, stroke issues are being decided by the paramedics if they die or live, because hospitals are not taking people with cardiac issues. They're overwhelmed, and paramedics came out today on the news and said, listen, We have people, they're telling us don't bring them here. If they have a heart attack, don't bring them in. We don't have the manpower. We don't have the space for them. They are allowing patients to be in an ambulance for 5 hours, average time, sitting outside the hospital because they can't get in. And so in LA, listen, we need prayers, because if you get sick, you're not getting medical treatment in LA. It's just not going to happen. That was on the morning news. But in Louisiana and in Sioux City, check out this. I'm going to put on the bottom screen. You need to ask your doctors if you test positive for COVID, especially if you're high risk, meaning you have 65 years or older. I'm reading this to make sure I get it all. If you have diabetes, chronic kidney disease, if you're on drugs that suppress your immune system, any of those qualifications, if you're high risk, ask your doctor, no matter where you live, for the BAM infusion treatment. It's called BAM. It's on the screen because I can't say it, but it's infusion treatment if you test positive. I know some people who have received this over the course of the last month or two. They've been giving it out in Louisiana. But this article also says that it's from KTIV.com in Sioux City, that they are giving it out there. They're saying this, that, hold on, where is it? Most of the patients getting it, a high number of the patients getting it, do not have any harsh symptoms of COVID. So it lessens the symptoms. So once you get tested positive, you go to the hospital. It's done in the hospital. And you get an infusion treatment. It takes about an hour to go through your system. You're watched very carefully. You do not do this outside of the hospital, because it does mess with your blood pressure and stuff like that. So you get this treatment. It's man-made. It has antibodies for the COVID-19. You recover quicker. It keeps you out of the hospital, and it helps this medical staff, because people aren't going to the hospital with heavy treatments. It is working in the people I know in Louisiana. Everybody there, I'm telling you, multiple people have gotten the BAM treatment. Not one person has gotten sick with symptoms. They tested positive, got the treatment, and they just went on. So this is something you should ask especially if you're high risk. Ask your doctor if you test positive for BAM. I'm going to put it on the screen one more time. Why don't we have that, you guys? Why isn't this known? Have you guys heard about this?
No, ma'am.
Why not? Why isn't this in some place like Los Angeles or New York, when people with cardiac care is being turned away? Why don't we know about this BAM treatment?
I think there is an answer to that, Melanie, and it's very cynical, but it's for politics. It's political. This disease became political, and I'm not trying to be political. I'm saying this disease became a political football for people to try and bash people. And I'm not saying that's not the point.
Right.
There's very few diseases that have ever become political, but this one did. And once it did, to a lot of people, it isn't about curing it. It isn't about this. It's about how can we use it to get more votes from people. And I hate to sound like that, because I'm not a conspiratorialist. I really not. And I don't think there's people in the back room saying these things, but people are behaving that way. I think it's obvious to anybody looking. This is the second disease I've ever seen where it doesn't seem like people want it cured.
Right. And that's the point.
I've never, there's been another one. I'm not going to talk about that because that was very political also. But in my lifetime, I've only seen 2 times where something hit where it seemed like at least some people are like, look, whatever we can do to extend this is a good thing. No, it's obviously not, but it might be good for that individual. It might be, but it's not good for the society as a whole. So that's my answer to you, Melanie. And it's a cynical, horrible thing. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm just completely misseeing it, because I don't want to be on Judgment Day myself. Well, I can't be on Judgment Day. I need Jesus. But I don't want to be on Judgment Day. I'm saying it in kind of a tongue-in-cheek way, though. where I said, oh, well, we can cure people, but let's not do it until after the election, because that might
you
make
know,
my opponent win.
they need to be very afraid of judgment. Hi, Maria. How are you? Maria is the founder and talking about entrepreneurs and inventors. She's the one who does social media shows. And so, hi, Maria. How are you? But this is the thing. You know, if it's obvious that someone somewhere doesn't want to treat people, because if you can give this to people that test positive and it doesn't make them sicker,
Right.
why are you doing this? This should be, even before immunization, this should be given to people because it stops the seriousness of it once you're tested positive. It's negligent for large cities like New York, Florida, California, not to have, large states, not to have this BAM being explosive in treatment. It's only in smaller towns, smaller cities, Louisiana, Sioux City. There's only two places I found it. I don't know where else it might be. And maybe it's because they don't have a lot of production of it. But why don't we produce it? You know, why wasn't that in our COVID release bill to produce more BAM and make it available? The other thing I want to talk about, we are going to have to go a little bit late, is vaccines. Well, before that, at-home test. Did you know there's an at-home test? You can go to your local pharmacy and do an at-home COVID test. Okay, here's what it looks like. You use your phone. It's from Elium. You use your phone. I don't know how they do it, honestly, because how they get the sample, I don't know. But within 20 minutes, you know if you are tested positive for COVID. I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't know how they get the sample. I don't know. I don't know.
According to the picture, it looks like they do how you do a pregnancy test. So once you get the little needle, looks like a needle in the picture, and then you pour that liquid into the little plastic part, and then it gives you a reading.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Because I didn't read all that. But yeah, so within 20 minutes, you'll know if you're positive for COVID. Sounds like a great thing, right? But let me share with you something. Something that it says, the FDA regarding the rapid home test. He says that all these tests can experience false negatives and false positives. It advises people who test positive at home to self-isolate and seek additional care from their health provider. Those who test negative should also follow up with their healthcare provider and isolate. Assume you have it. Now, okay, I laugh because so this basically is just trying to get people appeased. I took a test, I feel better. Because whether you're positive or negative, the FDA is saying seek a medical provider and stay quarantined, regardless of the result, because it's most likely going to be a false negative or a false positive. So I do know some people who this is how I found out, because someone told me yesterday, oh, I'm going to go get an at-home test. I said, a what? There's an at-home test? I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to go see this pharmacy and go grab me. I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. And based on that, talking about Elon Musk, did you know he thought he had COVID?
I know.
Yeah, Elon Musk thought he had COVID, and he was tested 4 times. 2 came back at the same time, back to back. 2 came back positive, 2 came back negative. He said
wow.
He said, what?
2 of them are right anyway. Yeah.
2 of them, right? He said something extremely bogus is going on. And then he replied exactly when someone said to him, revenues from the test are not bogus. The revenues are consistent. And he said, exactly. He's saying that the money earned by testing people is what they're looking at, not at the accuracy of the test. So, but then this bothered me because he went on. Musk said that the stay-at-home orders were fundamentally a violation of the Constitution. So Musk helped mobilize a like-minded tech of entrepreneurs who pushed the government to reopen the businesses. But they only opened the businesses for the wealthy. Those who owned the businesses were wealthy, not average American businesses. Right. So that's my part I have against it is, okay, you know it's bogus. You fought the right to have your companies open because Tesla was closed. But you only did it for those who are the millionaires who own the company, not for the average American person.
Which brings us back to what I talked about last week and the week before. The liberty idea is what I'm for most. Individuals, everybody, every human to have the same amount of freedom and liberty as anybody else. And I just believe in that. I believe in that completely across the board. There should be no difference in anyone. Shouldn't treat one group of people different than another.
No, you can't. And the last thing that I want to bring up, this is very, very important. And it also came out yesterday. This is from NPR News. The FDA, Bill just loves when I say that. I don't know why he smiles every time I say something like that. The FDA has learned of reports that some healthcare facilities, these are your health providers, are trying to stretch out the number of doses by cutting them in half or extending the time between doses or even mixing and matching vaccines. So what it's saying is that you need to understand what brand of vaccine you have, what the time frame is to get your second dose, and make sure that second dose is the same as the first dose. And make sure you get a full dose, because they're trying to double up on the doses. What is wrong with healthcare professionals? So here's a chart. This is important for you. If you're going to get the vaccine, this is what you need to know. If you have a Pfizer BioNTech vaccine, your second dose must be within 21 days. If you have a Moderna vaccine, you have 28 days to get your second dose. So what the FDA is saying is that people are getting the Pfizer vaccine and being told, come back in 28 days. Guess what? Your first vaccine is no good. You have to get another Pfizer within 21 days. You cannot get a Moderna in 28 days. All right. So if you are getting a vaccine, please be on top of your healthcare professional. Make sure they're doing it correctly, because it's your body. You're going to go around thinking that you are, immunized, and you're not. You're not. Nothing's happening. The FDA said if you don't get it right, there's no data that says what is happening in your body, and they don't really know what's going to happen to you. So right. I'm going to put that up again because I think it's that important. If you have a Pfizer vaccine, you must get another Pfizer vaccine in 21 days. If you have a Moderna, you must get another Moderna in 28 days. All right. Do not mix brands, and make sure you get the full dose. All right. That's just so important to me, because like here in LA, oh my goodness, was it LA? No. What city was it? I want to say LA, but it wasn't. No, Georgia. Was it Georgia? It was somewhere I used to live, maybe Florida. Yes, it was Florida. They said that there was hundreds and hundreds of elderly, right? Waiting in line overnight. You're talking about the elderly and the most immune compromised people having to stay up all night long in lines to get a vaccine because it's first come, first served. Don't our elderly and our sick deserve more respect than that?
Absolutely.
What is wrong with this? Like, that angered me when I saw that news report this morning, that the elderly have to sit outside all night long to get a vaccine that the government's getting money for, that is providing all this money.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah, that's not right. We're not going to do that. So and they're making the people stand out in long lines. Like LA, they're making people, die. They're allowing people to die for COVID, numbers. And now you got elderly people, sick people having to wait in line overnight. I mean,
Right.
come on. This is America. It should be better than this. Should it not?
It should be, because we used to be we're the envied country. So like everybody wanted to be here and be like us, and we're well, I heard we were the wealthiest. I don't agree, but yeah, I think our government or whoever's in charge is showing that that's not the case.
But once again, that's why I like individual responsibilities and rights and freedoms, because I'm not an anarchist, man. I'm a soldier and a cop. I believe in that you need to have a government, but I like the Ronald Reagan version of it, which is the lowest government possible is what's best, and the least amount possible. You have to have some. I'm not saying you can have no government, but you can't let the government make every decision for you.
Right.
They can't do it. They're not good enough, smart enough. No one is. You have to have those decisions for yourself, and the more you have those for yourself, and the more responsibility and rights you're given individually, the better off you really are going to be as a person overall. I'm not saying every individual, every minute of every second of every decision you'll ever make, but man, I don't want the government in charge of everything. Because not because they're bad, but because they can't do it.
Yeah. And knowledge is power. So again, the two things you need to know is this. Bam. If you test positive, ask your medical professional if they can administer, bam. Now it does have to be done in a hospital setting, but they can set that up for you. And the other thing is know your vaccines. Pfizer, get another Pfizer in 21 days. Moderna, get another Moderna in 28 days. Do not mix and match. Do not wait longer than that time. So listen, whether you're staying on Earth, moving to Mars, whether you've experienced loss in COVID or you're actually going through this and you're not infected or affected at all, the one thing for sure is that life got harder for most people across the globe. It just did. And each week we here at Truth to Hear try to encourage you. We try to, get you to stay strong in your faith, to seek God, to see it from God's point of view, from biblical standpoints, with wisdom and understanding. We try to encourage you to look out for one another, knowing that we're not isolated as much as they want us to be. We're still communities, whether we do it by phone or online or standing outside on the sidewalk and yelling to the house. Look out for one another. Make wise choices. If God tells you to go out and minister, okay, do that, but do it wisely. Don't take risks that are unnecessary, because all these things will help us get through this. Is that enough? It has to be, right? It has to be enough. God has to be more than enough to get us through that. So here at Truth to Hear, we cover news one day a week, one day out of 5. We cover encouraging stories 2 days out of the 5. And we do Bible studies and a message to encourage you another 2 days out of the 5. But the main thing is this. We have to spend more time in the Word and focus on the things of God than we do on the problems of the world. And that's why we talk about the world one day out of the 5, because we can't talk about COVID and racism and police and all that's going wrong in presidential elections every day, because that's where our focus, it will deteriorate us, right? We have to focus more on the things of God. So here's a little thing I wanted to show everybody. In order to have the mind of Christ, get in the presence of God daily. Meditate on the Word of God as often as you can. Even while you're doing dishes or driving somewhere, have the Word on in your car. Fellowship with people. Yes, we have to do it by phone or by Zoom or some other way, but still don't give up that relationship time. And pray and praise God. Wake up in the morning with praise. Go to bed with praise, and in between pray about everything. Bring it to God so that we don't have to stress out. That's how we're going to stay with the mind of Christ through all that we're going through.
Amen.
And this morning when you get the Bible verses over your phone, I mean, I imagine you guys do too. I get them, and The one that came up this morning was Jesus telling Satan, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Much more important than your daily bread, even though that's important, is the daily word of God. So
Yes. And we want to let you know that if you're listening to this, we are here. We are here for you to let us know. We can pray for you. We have a prayer ministry. Email at info@truthtohear.org. Message us on one of the social media outlets at Truth to Hear. Let us know your prayer needs. Let us know your needs. If you need community connections for food, clothing, shelter, let us know what your needs are. And if we don't have it, then we believe God will show us how to connect you to something that can help you. I thank you guys so much for coming on the show today. I know we went a little bit long, but I really appreciate it. I think it was a great session today.
Absolutely. I agree.
All right. Well, here's our schedule as we go off. I'm just going to show you the schedule for the rest of the week. Brandy, Bill, thank you again. Have a good week. We'll see you next Tuesday, if not before, right? All right. And for the rest of the week, what do we have on your daily dose? We have Truth Talk, a conversation. Tomorrow's guest, well, it's a surprise, even to me. I'm awaiting a couple of people's responses. So, but it's I tell you, it's guaranteed to be a good one. Dive deeper on Thursday. We're going to go into the Church of Smyrna and the history of it, and what did Jesus reveal to John about the Church of Smyrna. And then Friday, it's going to be an intimate message between me and you called But God. Find out how what we talked about today, overcoming and not being afraid to fail, how that led me through where I've been and how it can lead you through to your success and your plans that God has for you. But God is on Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. See you next week on Truth to Hear.